Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game and we are returning to our Let's Play of War in the West. We have set up a couple of missions here against the German truck manufacturing in Cologne and Stuttgart respectively. There's one twist to our usual setup, and that is Bomber Command over here is this time for the first time asked to fly during the day. Of course, historically that is something that they didn't do in 1943 or really until the end of the war, except very few exceptions. One of them is that the US Army Air Force in this case is operating in mines, and since they are sort of flying along very similar vectors, we hope that the US Army Air Force is going to take away some of the pressure, but I would like to see whether we are going to be successful. The thing about the Royal Air Force is they're mostly relying on the Lancaster. The Lancaster does have the best loadout in the game, and indeed in history. It has simply a much better loadout than even the B-24. However, the aircraft weapons is all these just Browning MGs with basically rifle caliber guns, whereas the B-24 is carrying 50 cals, so it's really not that good at defending itself, but it does have a much higher oomph, so if we can use it during the day without taking excessive casualties, I will be extremely happy. On the other hand, down here we've set up a couple of missions. We've switched around one of our missions in that we are now attacking these units here, mostly with our single-engine ground attack aircraft, whereas we are trying to interdict sort of the hinterland, the immediate hinterland, with our two-engine bombers and our heavy bombers down here in the south. The Strategic Air Force is trying to interrupt the railway infrastructure down up over here, a little bit further up the Calabrian boot. So let's see whether we can trap some Germans over there and see whether all of that is going to be successful. Yeah, let's simply execute the air directives over here and see what is going to happen. I'm very intrigued about the setup of the rate on Cologne there. You can see the Royal Air Force was intercepted there. Just very briefly, you could see that we could of course have this all going much slower, but you know, honestly, it's not about the single individual fights. It is about the overall war of attrition that we are fighting here, and let's see how well that is going to turn out. I think there was another air attack over Cologne, so let's see how that went. The green things are typically things that are happening on our side. These are all of these strategic bombers flying into these railway infrastructure and all of that. Right, so without further ado, let's find the Bomber Command set up over here. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, this is already not looking fantastic. So we are bombing here, and you can see this time around we are hitting actually their vehicle yards quite heftily here. 18% damage there, 5% there, another 6% there. Bit of hits on the heavy industry as well, so that's nice to see. What isn't nice to see though is the casualties that we are taking here. That is almost 100 aircraft that have been shot down on our side. So that's 20 bombers over here, that's another 20 bombers there, that's, Jesus, yeah, 57 bombers, 40 aircraft on our side. On the other hand, we did also take down 45 German pilots, so that is most definitely a very nice development. Nevertheless, these losses are quite hefty. So a couple of Mosquitoes here, Sterlings, single Lancaster, that's really not that bad, but yeah, I think this here was the very big fight. And you can see that we've lost a lot of our both fighters here, especially the night fighters, especially the slightly older night fighters, against these German fighters over here. You can see, I mean, they had 90 aircraft in total. Mostly it's it's all single engine. No, it's not quite true. Yeah, but mostly it's a single engine aircraft that are tearing into our fighter escort here. But on the other hand, it seems like we're not losing quite as many bombers here in this fight. Nevertheless, a tough fight. Is it worthwhile to keep going with this type of attack? Honestly, I don't know. We are successful over here. We are taking quite excessive casualties. I mean, some of these raids here have very high casualty rates, especially on our fighter escorts. If we had better fighter escorts during the day, that would be fantastic, but then again, we would probably use them on the Americans. Speaking of the Americans, how did the raid on mines go? Yeah, a lot less damage over here. And still substantial damage against the target. That's nice to see. I would have wished for a little bit more damage on them, to be honest. That's like 30% or so. Still, with this number of losses, I really can't complain, and we are also shooting down 25 German aircraft. That's actually a high amount of German aircraft that have been shot down compared then to ours. So that is most definitely very nice to see. Good. What else have we got over here? So we've got Bomber Command. These guys were, I think, trying to lure out their airfields. No, sorry, that's just that's just plain wrong. Okay, so we did have, didn't we have the 9th Air Force? Yeah, these guys were trying to lure out their airfields. We did do some damage against them, really, but nothing too dramatic. Just a couple of bombers being shot down over here. Really not sure why these guys were... Focke-Wulf G does count as a bomber, interesting, but yeah, some losses on the ground here. Honestly, not a great success. The pilots will live to fight another day, so that's just not very great. Okay, so that basically does settle it, though, for Northern Europe. How does it go in Southern Europe? Let's see. So we've got the Strategic Air Force. You guys were tasked with attacking their rail line infrastructure, which you did fairly well. I mean, this in particular, yeah, that's all very nice. So they have a lot of trouble moving via rail. We're losing a couple of aircraft over here, but not that many, actually. This does seem like it was... like these air groups did run into one another at some point, other than really while we're fighting over here. Yeah, it's probably just a sweep mission, right? So yeah, our guys here are flying on air superiority. This is really an unrelated fight. Sometimes these things do get grouped weirdly. But yeah, we're shooting down a couple of their aircraft. That's nice. We're losing some. It's an okay ratio. It's just a minor fight, really. Yeah, but overall, it looks fine to me. Didn't really lose any bomber here. Just a couple... just one escort fighter, really. Did shoot down a couple of enemies, so yeah, I'm going to take it. That's nice. Not a big one, but fine still. Bomber command here. These guys were interdicting this time. Again, very low level fighting, as it appears to me. On the other hand, the interdiction really just doesn't do that much for us here. So I'm not sure why that is. I think 2-engine bombers might not be very suitable for that, so we really need to find a role for them. And then we've got the ground attack by these guys. Very low casualties here. That is very nice to see, and we are indeed actually damaging some, or doing some damage here towards the Germans, and that's very nice to see. 120 guys and 12 guns destroyed here. That's very nice to see, and that is of course just what is destroyed. What are these guns that are being destroyed? Yeah, anti-tank guns, howitzers, but a lot of this stuff is disrupted as well, and that is definitely great to see. Alright, so that is probably it, right? Desert Air Force, yeah, you just are supporting. We've got air superiority missions here. It's mostly just small level fighting. Okay, great. Right, let's get over towards the ground then and see what is happening here. So we can disrupt that, and that is fine. Right, so with the air face settled, let's move over to the ground forces. We've got a couple of units from the British 8th Army over here, and the Germans have, of course, evacuated from Reggio Calabria. So, let's try to move up over there and see whether we can get a couple of troops here. Now, it is going to be a little bit tough to move through here, and I don't think it is viable to just simply attack you in this very turn. So, let's actually start by moving around over here. We are, of course, capturing the harbour, which is fairly lovely. So, you guys are from the 30th Corps. Okay, right. And we've got the 13th Corps over here as well. So, I might ultimately want to move you up there, and you guys are continuing down here. Now, of course, I would also very much like the tanks to move up through here, gain a little bit of a foothold on this site, and that should be fairly nice. Good. Yeah, let's move you guys up over here as well. Try to move up the coast, try to cut these guys off. I think that will induce them to actually withdraw, but we have to see actually. So, yeah, you guys, can you move up over here? Oh, you can't. Well, that's a shame. Well, that might be because we are not really occupying this territory here. So let's try this turn. Alright, yeah, that does work now, so that's fine. Yeah, let's move you over here. 5th Corps, you're moving here so that you can contact with these guys. That is perfectly fine. You guys are also 30th Corps, but can't really make it all the way over there, so that's going to be okay. You guys are still considered as retreating, so I think you just need to recover a little bit, potentially, but that should be alright. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, yeah, let's try to move up a couple of more units then. You guys should be ready to move over here, I think. Yeah, let's go there then. And let's, of course, do keep in mind that we need to repair a couple of these railroads here. So specifically, I'd like to move you over here, and then you might actually want to move up there. So that we are really just immediately starting the rail repairs over on this side. Now that's not ideal, because we do need to cover a little bit of terrain down here as well. So let's make sure that we are covering up the southern coast over here, and then I think we are going to build up, just swing this guy around and build up this way. That should be okay. You guys do have some movement points left. Yeah, why did I stop there? Don't know. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and that should allow us to relatively easily connect up most of Sicily now. Only this bit here is now missing, and a little bit down there, so that's okay. Yeah, and that does indeed mean that I'm going to move you over here, and I'm going to immediately start the repairs on that. I can't move you up any further, except of course if I moved you over here, and then can I move you? No, I can't. Okay, so that's basically it. That's going to be alright though. You guys are shoring up the defenses over here. Let's, in Reggio Calabria, make sure that we are repairing the port, because that is going to allow us to bring in some stuff, so that should be nice. Yeah, and then we're going to move up the British Army Corps over here. The 8th Army itself is going to stick over here. You guys are all fine, just right where you are. Suppose we can move you up so that you are just at least ready to cover this. And you guys, I potentially want to move you. You've suffered quite a bit of damage by now, so I would actually like to move you into port. And you guys are starting preparations here, but I don't think we need that actually. You guys here are still on the ships. Let's disembark you. This is just mainly the Air Force and so on, which is still okay. So let's move you up here. This is the... I think you can move into this little town there. That's fine. You guys are sort of controlling mostly areas down here actually. So let's move you to Siracusa. That should be okay. Anyone else here in ports or anything? No, I don't see anything. So what that could mean, well, I do think we have some corps over here. Don't we have the provisional? Did I not move up the provisional corps? I thought I did. I thought I had moved up another US corps somewhere. Okay, there's the 7th Army. And you are controlling a couple of things over here and there. But really... Oh, well, we only have the 2nd Corps over here. Well, that's alright. We are going to move you guys up a little bit like that. Now, we could start some preparations against this southern coast there, but I don't think that's worthwhile for now. So, yeah, indeed, I think what we need to do then is just stop you from... Can I disregard you? Can I just disregard the preparations? Okay, what I can do probably is just move you out of here. And back in. Yeah, you still have a preparation target. Well, that's too bad. Okay, nevertheless, let's move up the infantry over here. You should be alright over there. That's okay. And then we can move you guys here back into port over here so that hopefully you're repairing some of the damage here. That would be fantastic. Good. Yeah, I like that. And then let's move up some of these Americans as well. You guys can sort of move up along this coast, I suppose. That's fine. It's hilly terrain, so this is a little bit tough on you. And some of you guys are very low on supplies actually. Okay, you know what, we are going to stick the tanks around, we're going to keep them up around over here in Messania. That should be okay. You guys are preparing for launch over there. We still want to do that probably, so let's keep them where they are for now. And that should be okay. This port here, I think we are repairing it. Yeah, we are. So yeah, that should give us enough supplies here. This could be a little bit tough, but I think it's going to be alright. Let's move you up here, so that's also very nice and good. Right, so let's move over to the island of Sardinia, where we've got a couple of Italians, we've got a couple of British, not enough port capacity remaining. That is unfortunate. Now we've got this infantry corps over here, although you're pretty bad at moving about. Ah, okay, now you're better. Right, let's move you up over here. Yeah, that's going to be extremely tough fighting. Nevertheless, we are repairing this harbour, so that should be okay. Can we disembark you? Yeah, we can. So that's also kind of nice. But we can't really move you up that far. You guys are alright over here. Are all of these rail lines broken? They are. Ah, that's an issue. Right, we do need to repair these. And I think they are not repairing automatically. So that is a bit of an issue. Because we potentially cannot do that much about this. Okay, let's capture Olbia. Get the port over here. I think it should be a relatively big one. Yeah, it's okay-ish. Right, and let's make sure that we are connecting all of this up and... yeah, reducing their capabilities a little bit. You guys, I would really like to pull you down into here so that you can recover a little bit. You're all directly assigned to the next big thing over there. So we've got the 10th Corps over here, and I think you guys should be able to get a lot of supply here when you are actually... Yeah, let's actually use these guys here and assign you towards 10th Corps if we can. So that does give us 2, yeah, so we have at least 5 more capabilities here to assign you towards that. So that should be okay. Let's actually use the infantry divisions as such. Yeah, you can move over here and you again should be... Come on, can I not select you? Okay, something is weird. Alright, there we go. Okay, let's assign you towards 10th Corps, that's fine. Yeah, there we go, that's the 2nd Division. Let's take these paratroopers over here. I mean, how fatigued... You're relatively fine, aren't you? I mean, your morale is kind of extremely low, but all in all, you're not doing too badly. Right, so we've got one more division that we could assign. Let's pick you guys over here. You're also part of 10th Corps now. Great. Right, we've got a couple of more units down here, don't we? Yeah, we've got the 5th Army itself. And this is actually part of that, so it would be nice to move you over there. We've also got another unit down here, but I think I would primarily like to move you up towards the... So that we have got another corps over here. And let's move you into Cristana. Fine, that's very nice. Yeah, and then we do have some capabilities here too. So that's the 6th US Corps. You guys are also assigned to that, so yeah, let's do assign towards the 6th US Corps. Simply just trying to get a little bit more of a feeling for the front line here. That should be a-okay. Right. 2 more, so that does allow us to use... Well, you are... Okay, you're part of the 10th Corps, but maybe you should actually be part of the 6th. Then we can assign some of the units down here to the other one. That's okay. And then let's try to move you up as well. So the army over here is going to come into port there. Ooh. Okay, you cannot load anyway, so that's alright. We've got a lot of these units over here. Let's disembark you so that you can exercise CO control there, and that's fine. We've got another full unit down here that we could try to move up, but I'm not sure that it is going to work because simply we don't really have the port capabilities to unload you there. And that is a bit of an issue. Right, you guys are fine over here though. And how does the situation look like? It's still a little bit rough and all over the place, honestly. So, could you move up? You could move up over there. Yeah, you guys are all struggling because you don't really have enough supplies. Let's do move you up here. And I think we will need to consolidate that quite a bit, but for now that's going to be alright. You can move over here. Yeah, and you guys, your supplies just really suffering quite badly. But I do think we're also building up this port, yeah, 20%, so that's okay. It would be very nice to get this port here, and this one. But I'm very reluctant to send more bombers over here or any fighters or anything, just because it just doesn't match up too well, I think. So yeah, I think there's more or less fine that way. Up over here we can't really move up anything else, so that's going to be alright too. How about Messania? We are building up the airbase, yes, and we are repairing the port, so that's all okay. In Barcelona we are building up the airbase further, so that's nice too. And up over here in Palermo we are building the airbase, and yeah, we are repairing the port, so that's all a-okay and fairly nice actually. Now this French mountain division, I would really like to bring it into Corsica. And it just might be useful to dislodge this fortress brigade over here. And give us another good port over here. Well, I say good port, decent port. This one's actually the largest, isn't it? Yeah. Well, Bonifacio doesn't have a port, which is interesting, because that's one of the most beautiful ports in the world. Right, okay, nevertheless, that's gonna be... Well, do we want to move it up? I think we might want to move it up. Okay, let's send you over here. Yeah, without any issues, so that's perfectly fine. Can't unload though, so that's going to be expected, but that does mean we can probably move you up a little bit over here at least. Yeah, but this is tough going. Nevertheless, I think it's more or less alright. Good, yeah, I like it. how about the situation up over here? So the Germans are probably gonna retreat further, but we have a foothold on the Italian peninsula, so that is more than welcome over here. And our tanks are starting to move up a little bit over here, so that's also very nice. And I think that will enable us to push through here very aggressively. It would be very nice to cut off some of these guys. I mean, in infantry division it's not the best, but mostly they have a very strong fortification modifier here, so that's probably why they are defending so strongly. But I don't think we need to be too concerned about that. So you know what? What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hit the next turn button over here and see what the Germans are going to do on their turn. Potentially withdrawing. I don't know. I don't think they can really counterattack us over here in any way. Sardinia and Corsica, I'm not too sure about that. There might be some weird battles over there. I think historically these areas were really exposed for the Germans, so they couldn't really do much over there. They mostly withdrew. But of course on some of the other areas where the Italians did resist a little bit more, they... Ooh, look at that. Yeah, so we are retreating over here. And that is some Italian brigade that is being attacked by the Storm Brigade. Interesting. I don't know where that is, but let's see how that continues. It's up here? No, it's down there. So yeah, they are trying to get to back to the harbor, I think. But they will be out of supplies as well. So they do have some big issues here, which shouldn't be underestimated. Right, and I do think we are going to get into the air phase as well, don't we? Yeah, but mostly calculating stuff, so that's okay too. Here we go, saving. Sardinia, it's mostly these two things there, and that's more or less fine. A single Axis man was killed during their turn, which is interesting. And in terms of air losses, they've lost a couple of pilots, but not too much actually. So, yeah. How does it look down here? Yeah, they have withdrawn a little bit, but not really that far. Interesting that they were coming out of here. I think that will mean that we can cut off these guys, even though our supplies here are starting to look a little bit more questionable. But all in all, I think we will be fine over here. And yeah, we are going to potentially be able to push that against them a little bit more aggressively there. Supplies are starting to look better over here as well, although this area here is still struggling. But down here at least it's alright-ish. Some guys are okay over here. Well, not really. It's only the repair brigade there that is doing fine. And up over here, you guys were pushed back, but at the cost to them of... I don't think this Storm Brigade does have a lot of capabilities left here, so that's very nice to see. But yeah, probably we're going to get on the air phase next. Mostly the weather looks fine, so that's nice. What we can actually do is briefly look at the production screen over here. And look at the... No, sorry, not the commander screen, but actually this one. So... There's a lot of information in here. I don't really typically like to do all of it because it's just a lot. So what I like to do is just go through this one by one. Factory damage, honestly, not that important. Freight sometimes might be useful. I don't think too much. We don't care about any of this really. What we do think, what I do care about actually is the production phase. So here you can see a little bit what is being specifically converted and upgraded, and that is something that I typically like to have a look at, because you can see a couple of things are being just converted. So you can see regular Mustangs being converted to recon Mustangs, which is fine. Then you've got the exports between countries, so Spitfires being exported from the Commonwealth to the US, just one actually, but on the other hand also quite a couple of, for example, Warhawks being exported from the US to Commonwealth as Kitty Hawks. So that's all of the stuff like that. But we should also see some upgrades here. Yeah, for example, you can see 4 Liberators being upgraded to Liberators GL5, which is nice. And then we've got a couple of bow fighters here being upgraded. I think these are torpedo bow fighters that are being upgraded to the more modern version, and 1 Mosquito Night Fighter version 2 to the Night Fighter version 3, which is fantastic. But not the biggest deal of all. Right, and then over here we've got also in terms of production, which I find useful, this list over here where you can go through, for example, whichever older types of squadrons are still being used and which might deserve an upgrade. For example, here you can see the Night Fighter, the bow fighter of the US is struggling a little bit because we have 20 in the pool and we have 15 that are missing from the squadrons over here. So this is definitely something to look at. These guys do have relatively low morale, so we might want to upgrade these guys at some point into something better. So what would that be? There's absolutely nothing else that you've got. Okay, so the US pretty much only has the Bullfighter. So that was maybe a bad example, but there are other ones, and these can of course be checked over here. Anything that stands out? Well, we had a couple of losses here, for example in the B-17 fortresses, so I would very much like to upgrade these guys later on. Fatigue seems to be fine, morale seems to be a little bit low on some of these guys. So for example, these guys here are very likely to be put on hold by us for the next turn, and that means we can just simply go ahead and upgrade them to the G variant of the B-17. It's not a big change, it's just a very minor thing I think in the forward-facing MGs. It's really not that big. On the other hand, you're actually losing some of the characteristics over here. Nevertheless, I think this is a fine upgrade, so let's change these guys up. The only thing you need to be mindful about is the payload down here, so making sure that these guys are upgraded. Right, that being said, I think now is a perfect time to put in a cut, and I'm going to plan the next air phase, and you guys can rejoin me after that next time around. So, do leave a like and all of that, and I hope to see you then. Bye bye.